Okay, are we recording? We're ready? Okay, go!
What's up, San Francisco? You're watching Idtv. I'm Courtney Venus.
And I'm Camilla Stenmark.
We have a brilliant show for y'all today. We're going to talk about some controversial yet very important issues.
We know that you've probably seen them, the military recruiters here on campus. What would you do if someone offered you $50,000 to join the army? Would you accept it? If not, we're going to let you know how to avoid that situation.
And then there's the ever-present issue of safety on campus. Should we have to carry guns?
We have the brilliant Sarah Olson here in the studio, an independent journalist who almost ended up to jail just for doing her job.
And then we're going to save the best for last, truly. We're going to head up to the rooftop and we're going to meet with the Political Science and Economics Club, and they're going to give us some few tidbits on what they do. And then the African Drumming Club is going to jam with us.
Yay. There's a lot of clubs here on campus, right?
Yeah, actually, we're only meeting with 2. It'd be awesome if one day we could meet with all 80.
But now get your ass on the couch and get some snacks, because the Idtv show is starting with the military recruitment. I'm Camilla Stenmark.
And I'm Courtney Venus. You're watching Idtv.
The United States has one of the most powerful military forces in the world. Their use of technologically advanced weapons and vehicles is one of the reasons for their success. But what the U.S. military really needs right now are soldiers, or what they call high-quality youths. The war in Iraq is the first prolonged war without a draft, and the military is being stretched thin. In order to fill its ranks, the military has extended the time of troops in Iraq for 1 more year. In response to the extended missions, many of the current U.S. military volunteers said they will not re-enlist after the end of their contracts. In that case, it is the recruiter's job to fill the foxholes of injuries, deaths, and the military men and women who did not re-enlist. Almost $2 billion are being spent for military recruitment. The military uses various channels to get the word out. They have magazine advertisements, posters, and brochures. The internet has been a big part of their strategy. They have website advertisements, recruitment blogs, and they even have a MySpace profile where you can download free Army music. Television commercials and public service announcements that were produced by leading advertising companies in the country are also used. And of course, recruiters visit high schools and colleges and try to entice students with the benefits and monetary advantages of enlisting. The Solomon Law states that institutions of higher education that prevent military recruiting on campus may be subject to denial of grants and contracts from the Department of Defense, Department of Education, and various other departments and agencies. Anti-war groups and even war veteran groups arrange rallies, demonstrations, and counter-recruitment acts to express their opposition about military recruitment on campus. But since the main target of recruiters are students, we thought we'd ask several City College of San Francisco students what they think about this issue.
What do you think about that the military comes and recruits students on campus?
Not good. It's like a way of deceiving students, I think, in that way. Because actually they say, oh, they provide you a lot of benefits, but you have a high risk of being killed before you're earning that benefits.
I think that's a bad idea. They should be here to get their education. I'm against the war. I'm against all what's going on about the war. I didn't know you can go over there voluntarily. They should be only drafted if it's necessary, but I'm against the wars.
It's a political thing that everybody agrees with. I don't particularly want to see that, but I mean, there's nothing that I'm going to do about it, so.
Well, I feel they should have the right to recruit on campus. Yeah, because I mean, we're all citizens, and just because we're going to a city college doesn't give any special right not to decide whether we want to be in the military or not.
I prefer to have military recruitment in the campus because we need the soldiers. We need military. We need the strongest military in the United States.
Sometimes they follow you a long time and they don't take no for an answer. But for me, I might go to the Air Force actually. I'm not promoting them, but if they see my face, please just like take me in so I don't have to take any exams or anything.
I hate the Army. The Army just takes young people like me and kills them. What is the point of going to the Army? There's no point. What is that? $50,000 for joining? But I mean, what's that gonna mean? If you come back shot, all your legs is gone and your arm, what that $50,000 gonna do? You're gonna be spending it all on medical bills. There ain't no point in getting all that.
I don't have a strong opinion one way or the other. I mean, it's any business. They should, I mean, I don't agree with the military. I don't like the military, but it's like, you know, we have job recruiters on campus too, so it's, I don't know if I feel strongly that they shouldn't be allowed to recruit.
I support the war. I mean, I support military that go. They join the military, just that's their job. I mean, other people shouldn't hate on it, but then other times should more support than hate. And when they come back, they come back. And those who don't, I mean, like I said, it's their job.
I think they should, the people who try to go to the military should allow themselves, not people to come and recruit themselves.
And it's stupid. I'm against it because most of the reason why students go there or folks go there is because they want to, you know, pay for their schools, right? And it's better to recruit for education and then talk about the problem instead of recruiting just to go and see the benefits that could come, the outcome. But little that they know that there's also a behind scene in the back door. So.
Students at CCSF have mixed opinions about having military recruiters on campus. But then again, schools are left with no choice but to allow them to recruit. The No Child Left Behind Act requires schools to release student information to military recruiters upon their request. Whether or not you agree with military recruitment on campus, it is always good to know your rights and take advantage of them according to your own disposition. Because, at the end of the day, we are only responsible for our own course of actions.
If you're not interested in calls or callbacks regarding the Army, you might want to check out the opt-out form. You can get it at the admissions office or download it from militaryfreezone.org. And you want to turn it in the beginning of the school year. Hi, welcome back to Idtv. I'm sitting here with the lovely Sarah Olson, who is basically most famous for the Lieutenant Watata story. Do you want to tell us a little bit briefly what that was all about?
Sure. Well, in 2006, in May of 2006, I was contacted by some anti-war organizers here in the Bay Area. They had been contacted by Lieutenant Watata. He had, at that point, he was a first lieutenant in the U.S. Army. And when he learned he was going to be deployed to Iraq, he did a lot of soul searching, kind of, you know, as an officer is supposed to do. He tried to educate himself on, you know, the issues, on what was happening in the areas where he was going to be deployed. And he came to the conclusion, after reading a bunch of books, that the Iraq War, he said, was immoral and illegal, and it was his duty and obligation as an officer to refuse to deploy. And so that's what he did on June 7th, 2006. He refused to deploy. He was then court-martialed, and actually his case is still unresolved.
Whoa. And how did you really get in contact with him? Like you?
Well, when he came up to the Bay Area to meet with, he was on leave from the Army. He was actually here, I think, perhaps at City College to see a friend's graduation. And he also took some time to meet with organizations in the Bay Area, and I went to, afterwards, I went with him to a radio studio and recorded an interview there.
All right. We do have a sound clip of what he actually said. Let's take a little listen of that.
It is my belief that this war is illegal. Any orders to force me to participate in it would be unlawful as well, and therefore it's my duty as an officer, according to my obligation to the Constitution and my oath, to refuse those orders to participate in a crime.
Yeah, and you almost got in trouble for this as well.
When Lieutenant Watata was court-martialed, the Army eventually subpoenaed me to testify at his pretrial hearing and at his court-martial. I had a lot of time to think about this, and ultimately what I argued was that it's not my job as a journalist to testify on behalf of the government or on behalf of the prosecution against my sources. I essentially said that doing so erodes the very necessary barriers between press and government, and it's really detrimental to the free flow of information, to the free functioning of the press, to be seen, essentially, to have a journalist be seen as the investigative arm of the government, right?
Yeah.
In addition, it erodes, or it has a chilling effect, both on people willing to speak publicly about their opposition to a government policy, and on the journalists willing to report these kinds of opposition. And everyone knows that, hopefully everyone knows that the kind of a functioning press, a functioning media, is the lifeblood of democracy. It's a necessary element to having an informed citizenry. And when you're hauling journalists in front of military tribunals to have them testify in effect, against their sources, you're not as likely to have a free flow of information.
Exactly. How was it to be an independent journalist in that, when it was all that heated? Like, who backed you up? Well,
it was interesting. A lot of people tend to think that independent journalists are not well equipped to defend themselves in these kinds of situations. And what I found was actually that I was really well prepared or well empowered to defend myself. I was able to choose my own lawyer, to make my own decisions, to decide what I was going to do in a way that many reporters who are employed at a paper or at a radio station, in a way that many journalists there don't have the ability to do, because they sign contracts saying that they'll abide by this or that regulation. And so I found myself actually in a very good position.
Why is this cause still important? Because we started, it was 2006, it's 2008 now. Why is it still important?
I think that there's a couple answers to that question. I mean, the first is just obviously that Lieutenant Watata's case is still unresolved.
Yeah.
But more importantly, I think the issue of what to do with GI resistance in the military while this country is still at war is also unresolved.
Yeah.
And essentially, between 2006 and 2008, we've seen GI opposition to the war really exploding in this country.
This is something like we all need to check out, and like free the press. It's important to have a very free press there. Thank you so much for joining us, Sarah.
Thank you for having me.
You should totally look this up on internet, because there's a very interesting story that we fortunately can't really cover all today. We're gonna keep talking about the veterans who readjust into the college life. We're gonna have some rhythm on the rooftop, and we're gonna find out police on campus, should they carry guns or not? Coming up on Idtv.